Hi guys, with the excitement of the vaccine now out of the way just a little bit, I did want to take a deeper look in this video on why this is a breakthrough on COVID-19. So let's sprinkle those facts and why a safe, effective and commercially viable vaccine is something to be optimistic about. And let's answer some of those key questions around the vaccine to help make better investing decisions. Hi, I'm Fifi, I'm an engineering consultant living in London, and I make videos about saving money, investing and understanding the economy to make better financial decisions. So if you watched my previous video, don't worry, I have linked it at the end if you haven't. But even if you didn't, you would need to be living under a rock to not know of the fizzy news from Pfizer and the German partner BioNTech of the fact that they produced a 90% effective vaccine for the COVID-19 coronavirus. Now, to just contextualize the vaccine, it's not yet been approved as it remains in phase 3 clinical trials. And the biggest challenge to come is to scale up and distribute it, particularly because it is so sensitive. It needs to be stored at around -75 degrees. I thought it would be useful to make a quick video on answering some of those key questions being asked about the breakthrough. First question, what's up with the trial? So the sample size has been subject to a good amount of scrutiny by media and also those less in the know. However, about 43,500 volunteers were part of the study, which was double blind. So double blind essentially means that neither the participants, so the people that are being tested, nor the administrator, so that's me, the scientists, are aware of who is receiving the placebo, which is the fake drug, or the trialed treatment, which is the actual drug. So it's very important from a bias perspective, but also from relieving the emotions of knowing whether you're administering a proposed treatment or a placebo. It takes that guilt and that personal factor away from it. So it's all done quite mathematically from that perspective. The treatment is also delivered in 2 jabs, and they are delivered 3 weeks apart. And the results have shown that the vaccine is over 90% effective. And that is amazing. That is the wow factor from a medical perspective, from every perspective, because it's very rare to get that kind of hit rate. So there are a few unknowns to be worked out. For example, the first one being is how long does that immunity last? People will know that, for example, the general flu jab is an annual occurrence for the flu strains that particular year. And we don't know at the moment whether this vaccine will actually stop transmission or just the development of the virus. But what we do know for certain is that it's still effective 28 days after the vaccine is delivered, and there are no safety concerns about it. And that in itself is hallelujah. It's great news. Forget good news. This is actually excellent news, especially when you think about COVID-19 as a virus in the context of other viruses. The fact that it's susceptible to a vaccine is amazing in the first place. There are other viruses in the same family which are not. So we also know there are viruses like HIV and malaria which have defied all efforts for many years for a vaccine solution. So it wouldn't really be wrong to think of it as a miracle, but I suppose the better miracle would have been not to even have the virus at all, but ignorance is bliss and all of that jazz. Also, 90% is way higher than most people had anticipated, like I said before. Well done, science, honestly. And putting that into context, it's twice more effective than the flu virus. But the researchers working on the vaccine have also commented that they expect the immunity to last for 1 year and that the antibodies developed by us should keep it at bay. Yay! The next question is, how do vaccines work? And that's quite an important one, particularly when thinking about drugs in general taken by humans and why this vaccine can be approved so fast, I suppose. A normal vaccine works by introducing a dead or deactivated husk of the virus to the body, and that itself triggers an immune response to create antibodies. So that immune response is your body reacting to the virus, which can then, if faced with the virus again, fight off a subsequent infection. And that's all neat and tidy, and it's highly effective. But the issue is it takes time to research and develop. The new vaccine itself is different. It uses what is called mRNA technology, and that was originally developed as cancer therapy, a particular interest of mine when I was in academia and research. Here, let's welcome into the room the fun science. So the drug contains genetic code wrapped and protected in oily liquid, which is then injected into the body. So this code itself instructs cells to make proteins that trigger and prepare an immune response. So let me rephrase it a little bit. The vaccine tricks the body's cells into making fragments of the virus itself so that the body learns what the virus looks like and how to kill it. That is pretty cool if you can get your head around that. So that leads us on to the next question. Is this new tech? Is this groundbreaking? In short, no, and not at all actually. They have been under development for a long time and used to try and target things like flu, HIV, rabies, and even Zika. But the infectious nature of COVID-19 has turbocharged the process and the research process and timeline. So this is a huge breakthrough for science generally and will hopefully change the way we create vaccines for the future. That mRNA technology is faster to develop and easier to manufacture than traditional vaccines. So this approach prepares us to fight new coronavirus pandemics if they were to emerge in the future. There's also an argument, albeit it's from the manufacturers, that they may be safer than conventional vaccines as they don't really trigger an unwanted reaction from the patient. And then we have to think about the manufacturing efficiency, and that's also evident with Pfizer being able to have 1.35 billion doses available by the end of next year. That's just amazing. Other manufacturers, including Moderna and AstraZeneca, will mean more options using the same mRNA technology. So what's next then? The Pfizer will continue with phase 3 of the trials with pending regulatory approval expected in the coming weeks, but I expect this will be supercharged, fast-tracked, what have you. And from the UK's perspective, there are 40 million doses on pre-order already, which will cover about 20 million of our population. Because remember, it's a two-step process, and it's projected that a possible 10 million doses will be available before the end of the year. How amazing is that? Meanwhile, there's a backlog of data which is building up some of the unknowns and assumptions of the virus and how they can be better understood. For example, does efficacy vary by age group? Does it prevent transmission? Does it prevent all illnesses or just milder ones? So there's all of these new questions that have evolved from this, which will have continual research in the background. There is also the societal questions where people are genuinely concerned as to whether a vaccine created in less than a year when other viruses haven't even been solved for decades is viable. And based on that, here in the UK, 1 in 6 people are firmly opposed to the vaccine. The next question then, what if the vaccine fails? Well, at least for the UK, we have thought about that too. So our government has been proactive in tendering deals with 5 other suppliers in addition to Pfizer itself. That does include AstraZeneca, so that's the Oxford team who are expected to come to the market sooner actually. And just an interesting fact here, their solution was to use a chimp virus to ferry corona materials into human cells. Now that seems a lot more dubious on paper if you ask me. Anyway, we should hear the results on that in the coming week. There is also Johnson & Johnson, Sanofi, GSK and other suppliers with clinical trials on the way as well. So it is a little bit of an arms race to kill this horrid corona, to be honest. I should ask the question, is the hype justified, guys? Actually, it could be way too cautious. Despite all the hypes in the market, analysts do think that the response has been more muted than it should have been. So the market has been burned, it's volatile, and it understands the challenges in the first iteration of the solution, like the logistics of the distribution of this cold weather loving vaccine. That being said, it could be a major game changer too, to get a vaccine through in months what should have taken decades and then deliver. It should mean that mother of all rebounds and reflation should be coming. The mothership is coming home, guys. Let's see. This video goes really well with my other vaccine video here, which looks more directly at the market impact. So if you like this, I would suggest you check this out so you're fully up to speed on this major event and then know how to approach investing and thinking about normality. Cheers, guys!